Happy Monday, MFFLs. It is Dallas Mavericks Today. I'm Harrison Graham. He is Jeffrey Cooperstein. And the Mavericks, Coop, are set to begin a critical road trip. Did not get much help over the weekend from other teams in the Western Conference. They are technically back in the 8th seed, although they're basically neck and neck with Phoenix and Sacramento. But it all starts tonight. I guess really it started with the other game in Utah and against San Antonio as well. They got one more with Utah tonight, and then those two critical games with Sacramento. So things are ramping up here, Coop, down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, you'd kind of mentioned it how tonight's a must-win, and I kind of think all of these are more or less must-wins at this point if you want to get into that top 6 and avoid the play-in. And this is all of a sudden here a pretty tough stretch. Utah's kind of laying down here a little bit, and I think their season's probably pretty much over. But then you have the two crucial ones against Sacramento, and all of a sudden Houston's won 8 in a row and 9 out of 10. So they're hot, and then you have the makeup game at Golden State as well. It's going to be a tough road here.
Yeah, I mean, look, you kind of break it down one by one. I think tonight's probably the easiest. You've had 2 days off. You just handled Utah pretty easily the other night. Take care of business tonight, barring just a disastrous showing. First one's going to be tough in Sacramento on a back-to-back. You hope you kind of take care of business early tonight, save some legs there.
Sacramento playing tonight as well, so they're
okay. So it's kind of even there, I guess. And then you got 2 days off before the second one with Sacramento. I mean, at absolute worst, you got to split that, but you got to be thinking you really need to win both. And then the Houston game, like you mentioned, they're kind of playing their way back into the play-in picture.
Very much so.
So they're not going to lay down. And Golden State, they're not going to get into the top 6, but they would certainly like to at least be ahead of the Lakers, if not push for the 8 seed to try and have 2 cracks at a play-in opportunity to get into the playoffs. So none of these games are gimmies. Tonight's the closest one that is, but any road game in the NBA is not tough, or is tough, I should say. So I don't know, 4-1, like that's kind of what you need to do.
I think is at minimum what you need if you want to be in the position that you think you are.
That is not going to be easy.
No, not easy at all. I mean, like we've talked about it over the last few weeks, how good this Western Conference is. Like the Mavs have won 7 of 8, and they're playing the best ball of their season, and they're losing ground. So it's just it indicates how tough it really is and how much every game matters here down the stretch.
I mean, was it Phoenix that gave the Mavs a gift by losing to Washington, or was that Sacramento?
I think that was Sacramento.
I mean, but like that has been few and far between over the last month or plus, really. So it's getting tight. You got to bring it every night if you're going to get into that top 6, because you get into that play-in thing. Anything can happen, man, and I'm not trying to.
I don't want to be in the business of playing one-off games. I'm with you there.
Yeah, predict the Mavs record on this 5-game road trip down in the comments. I mean, I'll say 4-1, but like I feel like anything from 2-3 to 5-0 is possible, which is pretty scary. Mavs are playing well right now, though. I'll be optimistic. I'll go 4-1. I think if you win 4 or 5, you're going to be in a good position. But 3 or less, and you're probably still in that 7 or 8 spot. Heading into what at that point be like the final 7 games or so.
7,
So yeah, it's things are certainly tightening up as we get closer and closer.
While you guys are down there getting your comments in, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We are covering the Dallas Mavericks all throughout this home stretch, and hopefully a deep playoff run as well. So if you want the latest Mavericks news, rumors, analysis from real Mavs fans, be sure to hit that subscribe button right now, and you'll be glad you did.
Yeah, don't miss out. And if the Mavs make the playoffs, we will likely do some playoff watch parties. So do not miss out on that. You look at where the standings sit now.
I almost didn't even make this because it changes every single day.
Yeah, I mean 6 through 8. The good news is you have the tiebreaker over Phoenix. So if you win tonight, you've got that tiebreaker situation back. You could jump back up to 6 potentially, depending on what Sacramento does. Those 2 games. The Mavericks control their destiny, Coop, because they have the tiebreaker over Phoenix, and they play Sacramento head-to-head twice. So if they win both of those, they essentially, I mean, obviously I don't expect them to win out, but if they did, they're guaranteed a top 6 seed.
Yeah. Well, with Sacramento, it's weird. So if they win these next 2 games, they have a split, and then I believe the next tiebreaker is divisional record, which Sacramento has over the Mavs. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I know it's almost impossible for the Mavs to own that tiebreaker with Sacramento.
Well, the reason I say they control their destiny, though, is because if you beat them twice, well, then you're 2 games ahead.
Then you're 2 games ahead, yes,
so,
absolutely.
Sure, like you could still lose a tiebreaker, but like if you're just from I don't know, take it like the, what's the phrase they use in baseball, the magic number. Like the magic number goes down if you beat Sacramento twice. coming up this week. So keep that in mind. Still a bit of breathing room between 9 and 10. You certainly don't want to mess around in this 5-game road trip and let Golden State or LA creep up. That Warriors game could be notable, so certainly need to try and win that one as well. More to discuss here with the Dallas Mavericks, but I do want to tell you guys about today's sponsor. That is Prize Picks. We're heading to the Sweet 16 in March Madness, the playoff push in the NBA and the NHL. This is the perfect time to download the Prize Picks app, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to download it today. 2 to 6 player entries, more or less on stat projections. How about a Luka Caitlin Clark combo here, Coop? 65.5 points with their coming up games here. Utah tonight for the Mavericks, and then Caitlin Clark in the second round as well. In the women's tournament, Keontae George less than 16.5 points. That's 2 to win 30 there. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get the app downloaded today and to get a $100 deposit match at sign up. Check it out. Pick more, pick less. It's Prize Picks. Takes less than 60 seconds to complete an entry. All right, Coop. Defense.
Yes.
I think that's been a consistent theme in this good stretch of basketball for the Dallas Mavericks. Let's break that down numerically here a little bit.
Yeah, over the last 8 games, the Mavericks have been the best defensive team in the NBA, which is wild to think about. They're giving up just over 107 points per game in the last 8. And if that was over the entire season, it would be the best number in the NBA by over 2 points. The Miami Heat are averaging the fewest points given up per game, and it's like at 109. So that's an indicator that scoring is extremely high this year, which we already knew. But it's also an indicator that the Mavs are playing really good ball on the defensive end right now.
Yeah, and look, that's, I think there's a couple reasons for that. I think moving Gafford into the starting 5 has just gotten him more engaged. I don't think he's necessarily like a far superior player than Derek Lively. I think we've talked about that ad nauseum. It's a 1A, 1B situation, but that seems to have gotten him off to better starts in these games, and Lively hasn't really dipped in his level coming off the bench, so I think that's worked out pretty well. We've talked about it at times this year on this channel. Luka's committed to playing defense more, and he's played better on that end. Even Kyrie, who's never been a great defender, he's at least given effort on that end, which is a positive as well. PJ Washington's been a great defender. The offense hasn't really been there consistently since they traded for him, but he's been solid on that end. Kleba's been playing better on that end as well. So, listen, I don't think they're an elite defensive team, but they're playing really well right now, which kind of tells me, Coop, that they understand where they are and, they know that they really have to lock in if they want to get where they want to go to in terms of seeding and being in a good position heading into the playoffs. So that's a positive. I don't think if they make the playoffs, they're going to be the best defensive team in the NBA or something like that, but can they be one of the better ones? Recent stretch would suggest that, yes, that is certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's very much indicative of how important they know these last 12 games are, and they're ready to lock in and clamp down on that defensive end. We have seen it throughout stretches this season that they can be good at defense if they're committed to it, basically. I know the Mavs Jason Kidd loves the saying that offense is their best defense, and that if they score a lot that they won't have to worry about guarding other teams. It's not really how it works in crucial games and in the postseason. You do have to get some stops and play defense at a relatively high level, and I think the Mavs are capable of doing that. We'll see if they're capable of doing it on a more consistent basis, but over this stretch where they've won 7 of 8, they've really kind of gotten it together, sans a couple of games like against Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and I think, look, this team's going to score. We know that. Can they be consistently above average defensively? If they do that, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think anybody wants to face this Mavs team as currently constructed. Now, we'll see what happens in the final 12 games or so, but I think they're a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams up there in the upper echelon of the Western Conference, and it's getting really exciting here in Mavs land. This is a huge road trip, and I just can't wait.
It's rare when you have 2 dudes that can go for 40 on any given night and can simultaneously go for 40 on any given night.
Absolutely.
Not many teams have that, and they also have good complementary pieces to go with it, which is very, very exciting. If you believe in this Mavericks team right now, like this video. Coop and I like the vibes right now. Hopefully that continues. Again, this 5-game road trip I think will tell a lot and will obviously shape where this team could finish as we just got, 3 weeks left in the regular season,
Yep,
3.5 weeks, something
Final
like
game
that.
on April 13th or April 14th, and playoffs start April 20th. So
it's going to be here quick. So hit that like button if you're a believer. And if you're excited about where this is heading, he's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
See you guys
Big
soon.
game against the Jazz tonight. Back tomorrow.